Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we will be reacting to episodes 32 and 33 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, finishing out the heavy weather four-parter. So, yeah, last time we had our second part of the four-parter, and it basically was entirely backstory. It was a backstory episode on not only Weather Report, but his brother Poochie as well. And it made Poochie surprisingly sympathetic. We find out that he had a sister. Well, technically, both he and Weather had a sister. And that because Weather was separated from his family at birth due to another mother switching babies, he ended up accidentally dating his own sister, not knowing it was that they were blood related and everything. And I kind of brought up the question last time of what of whether or not it still counts as incest, because again, they're technically like biologically related, but socially they're not siblings. It's a really complex, nuanced situation that I don't know how you would consider that. It's not an easy thing to question, but either way, they didn't know either way. Poochie, in order to protect his sister, especially from finding out the truth and everything, hires a private investigator to break them up. Nothing else, just break them up. Get them to, to come apart. However, the PI ends up finding out that Weather's parents are mixed race. And while he couldn't do anything to Poochie because Poochie is rich and everything, and it'd be harder to get away with that kind of thing, which I was thankfully clued in on the comments, which makes so much sense. I questioned last time why he didn't attack Poochie if he's racist, because Poochie's black. But and I was clued into that, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense actually. Poochie came from a very wealthy family. Weather, on the other hand, because of his mother swapping the babies and everything, was raised into a very, I wouldn't say poor, but average family, maybe even a little below average. And finding out the truth of his parentage and everything, we see that this PI, because he is a racist piece of shit, is like, oh, well, we can't have this now, can we? We can't have a mixed race person dating a white girl, and I don't know. I don't know if it said. Maybe I missed something, but the girl is from the Poochie family. She's Poochie's sister. Like, she's white. Is her parentage not the same as Poochie and Weather Reports? Does she have like? Was it not the same? That's what I'm curious about. Was she from like purely white parentage? I'm curious if that was explained and I just missed it. But either way, even if he doesn't know, the PI sees this white girl making, or like not necessarily making out, but being together with a mixed race guy, and is like, nope. So he gathers up a group of people, a group of these like-minded assholes, and they go and start attacking them, beating them up. Mostly Weather, mind you. Or Wes Blue Marine is his real name. Well, his given name, I guess you could say. We find out that the name he would have been given if he hadn't been swapped would have been Dominic Pucci. So you could refer to him as like Weather, Dominic, or Wes. Any of them would technically be accurate. But yeah, they're beating him up, and they lightly assault the girl, but they don't go too hard after her because she's white, and they're like, because you're white, you can date whoever you want. But him, on the other hand, and it's like, And apparently in the manga, like, they're just straight up KKK. And I was told this in the comments, I'm like, I'm not surprised. And I'm not surprised that was, like cut out from the anime. Because it's like, there's some imagery that it would just be a little too triggering for people, and it's like that would be one of them. Like, certain movies may be able to get away with stuff like that a little easier, but stuff like this probably would not. So I don't blame them for taking it out of the anime. It's one of those bits of symbolism that just, I think it's better that it's not in there. The idea is still very much there. And I went and checked it out, and yeah, it's very much there. I saw the scans, and it's like, oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not okay. That kind of shit pisses me off, and it's very, very good for making an easy, sympathetic character. You see, after this, they hang Weather and leave him for dead. Luckily, the girl, Pucci's sister, is able to get him down in time before he, is completely dead. So he's still slightly breathing. However, she doesn't realize this. She thinks he's dead, and she throws herself off a cliff. She commits suicide because of what happened. And it's just like, I was not expecting that episode to make me cry, but it did. Because it's like, I genuinely, was pissed off at these racist assholes. But more so than that, I was sad. I was just really sad. Because shit like this happened. Shit like this would happen all the time. And knowing it happened, combined with knowing that, situations like this specifically probably weren't uncommon either. Like, this specific kind of situation, involving, a mixed race person or something like that, and then a white person in a relationship, and how they were treated and everything by white racists. It's like, it genuinely makes me sad that humanity was ever, and to some degree, for some people, still is at that kind of point. It's hard to believe, but there are still people who think like this. It's horrific. It's mind-boggling how anyone can think that this is okay. How anyone can convince themselves that this is right. It's so just fucking evil. And it's like, this is a notable part of American history. And it's one of the absolute worst parts of American history. And that's saying something, because America is fucked up. America has so much terrible shit in its history. Colonization and a lot of racism, a shit ton of racism. You know, genocide, and so much more. And it's like, this is up there. I mean, obviously the genocide and shit is worse, but the racist, like, culture of America's past, and again, to a smaller degree, the present, is absolutely horrific. And it genuinely, even, it made me tear up here today, just thinking back on it. Poochie found his sister, her body, and was so stricken by grief that he became cold. He became numb. Having already met Dio once by this point, his heart calls out for him, believing that he could help. He ends up going to search out Dio after this, and he becomes kind of the Poochie we know now because of this. The cold, heartless person who's willing to kill to achieve his dreams. And he got revenge. Revenge was taken on the PI. But even though Poochie had learned of his siblinghood to Weather, the two never got to reconcile or have anything with that, because Poochie and Weather both awakened to their stands, and because of the nature of Weather's stand, Poochie had to remove his memories. And ever since, he's been stuck in prison. Leading to where we are now, while Poochie had met with Dio and is now on his entire thing, searching for his own goals, his own dreams, and completely void of all of the emotion and care and humanity that he used to have. It's a genuinely sad, sympathetic backstory. And now the question is, what's going to happen next? Because in the current day, Weather has his memory back, Heavy Weather is activated, and people are turning into fucking snails. Jolene's got some snail titties. We can't let this stay. Even though the imagery of snail titties is funny as hell to me. But it looked like, I believe, Poochie and Weather were confronting each other at the end of the last episode. Weather clearly has it out for Poochie, and he found out prior to his memories being taken that they are brothers. So, wonder what's going to happen here, and how this two-parter is going to end. Well, we're going to find out. We have 2 episodes to do so with here. So, let us get it going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, first off, I thought this was a 4-part. I don't know where I read that. Like, I read it somewhere, but I read that I swear I read it was a 4-parter. Maybe I read it was a 3-parter. I'm just stupid. I don't know. I'm confused now. I had been going on the assumption that it was a 4-parter. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I knew it was a 3-parter, not a 4, and I just somehow went to 4. I don't know. But either way, so Heavy Weather finishes off with Weather Report's death. He seemed to be getting the better of Poochie at the end there, but the distraction seemed to allow Poochie to get the upper hand after all. But Poochie was still able to use to force, or rather, Weather was able to force Poochie into using Whitesnake's ability to remove his memory, or not his memory disc, his stand disc. And so our heroes got a hold of that, so I'm assuming that has to come into action here. But yeah, we see just in the first of these 2 episodes just the continued fight of Weather and Poochie and how it just all comes to a head. And Poochie wins. Just straight up. Poochie does win. And yeah, it sucks because I liked Weather a lot. Weather is a likable character. I've referred to him as a good boy. He definitely kind of fits into that type of character archetype. The good boy character who's just nice and wholesome and sweet and likable. Even when you find out his backstory, and even when he's like, obviously a little more aggro because of needing to find his brother at the end there, it's like he's still like, he just wants revenge for what happened to his girlfriend, who he never found out was blood related to him, by the way. He found out prior to his memories being taken that Poochie is his brother. He found that out, but he never found out that girl was his sister. Again, biologically speaking, not socially. Which still, again, I question, like, I question that. I question if that counts, like, as fully incest or not. It's such a complicated thing. But either way, he never knew. And I think that's probably for the better, that both of them ended up dying without ever knowing. And they just got to die retaining that image of love in their heart. They got to die, and they shouldn't have had to die, but if they were going to die, at least they got to retain that love when they did. Even if it's a complicated issue with that. You know what I mean? But yeah. Unfortunately, there was nothing that Jolene could do at that point, and just seemed like hope was kind of lost. So they moved on. If Weather somehow came back at this point, I would honestly be upset. If I'm being completely fair. Because Weather is very clearly supposed to be dead here. Just being completely honest. Even though it didn't come up with a thing on the screen that said Weather Report has died, or like show his spirit ascending to heaven, it's like, that's the only thing that you could like use as evidence to say he could possibly return. But honestly, it's like, with how sad of a send-off that was, it's like having him come back at this point would be wild as a choice. So they get, we see in this next episode, though, they're following Poochie to get to Cape Canaveral. He's already arrived. He gets in thanks to help from a stranger. But shit starts to go sideways, quite literally, because his stand fuses with the green baby that he had already kind of absorbed into himself and becomes a whole new stand, which is fascinating to me as it is. His stand fuses into a new one, and this one seems to control gravity. He doesn't remove gravity, but makes it act differently. Instead of the gravity going towards the center of the Earth, it seems to be going sideways. If that makes any sense. I don't know how that would work, but again, stand powers, JoJo, it's like, whatever. So people are falling sideways as if they're like basically falling off the planet. But presumably they would just continue falling until at least they got out of its range. I don't know how far its range is. That's a notable thing, though. You have to account for its range. It might just be in the general Cape Canaveral area. Probably is. But either way, we first see this in effect when the nice guy who helped him, who's a bit talkative, but not bad or anything. I've had friends who are super talkative, and yeah, sometimes you can get maybe a little annoyed, but it's like, you don't be an asshole to them. They're just talkative. It's not that big a deal. It's really not. But he gets annoyed, he yells at him, and so the guy kind of just like goes off to mind his own business. But soon this other guy's cola starts like flying out of his cup, going across this guy's face, and he soon also flies into these railings, but also it looks like these like pipes or something. Ends up impaling him and killing him. It's like, he didn't deserve that. Like, this dude was like a nice dude. He didn't deserve that. But again, I mean, I don't even know if Poochie's in control of this, you know? Like, based on his reactions to everything happening, the clear, like, discomfort he's in, I don't think he is. I don't think he's controlling this. I think very much like his brother's Heavy Weather, this is something that is just happening. It's a passive effect. That's my guess. But while Jolene and them are also falling, even though they're trying not to, Hermes ends up getting swept away by some other falling debris and stuff, and Jolene is unable to save her in time, and she better come back. I will be pissed if we don't see Hermes again. If that is how Hermes dies, I will be fucking livid. Like, she is my favorite character in this part. You do not kill her off that unceremoniously. Like, she's a major character. Like, she's the main JoBro in this part. Without question. She was Jolene's first friend at the prison. She is the main JoBro, equivalent to Okuyasu or Speedwagon or whatnot. Or Caesar in part 2. She's basically way too important to give an offhand death like that. That would be so disrespectful. She better return. I will legitimately be pissed. I'm not even joking, by the way. I will be really pissed if that's how she goes out. That would be such a slap in the face to her character. But then again, Araki already did this part with FF. So, there's at least some level of reason to believe it could. But either way, they continue going up to the visitor center and everything, Jolene decides to ignore two scared girls who are hanging on for dear life there for some reason. She's like, they're gonna be okay. It's like, who the fuck says they're gonna be okay? Why would you think that? These two girls are scared out of their fucking minds. Save them. But honestly, it's probably good that she didn't save them right when she did, because the upgraded White Snake, I'll just call it that for now unless it gets another name. The upgraded White Snake comes out and starts like absolutely using gravity to destroy Jolene's fingers, and oh my god, it is so fucking uncomfy. Like, there are certain things that really bother me, and this was actually brought up in the Discord, because like we were talking about like what the not safe for work video channel entails, and it's like, oh, it's not just like, you know, sexual stuff. It can be like gore and stuff too, heavy gore. And like I was explaining it with like, you know, the r/5050 Reddit, and on that subreddit, they have like, okay, is this like a kitten pawing at your face, or is it a mangled hand? Something like shit like that. And it's like those images, when you do get them, are extremely uncensored and extremely gory. And so I use that as an example, and I showed one with like an eye, a damaged eye, and I think it was venom, but I'm not 100%. I think it was. But I was asked, like, doesn't eye shit bother you? And I'm like, yes, but mostly when I see it happen, like in a horror movie or something. If I see like someone get stabbed in the eye or some eye shit going down, it's like when I see it happen, it bothers me a lot more than when I just see like the after effects of it. Even knowing that this was real, and it does bother me, just not to the same degree. But like even in animation, seeing that kind of shit happen will still bother me, because you're seeing it actually occur. And so seeing like Jolene's like the flesh of her fingers like push in, and the fleshy nubs underneath and pulling apart to reveal the bone, it's like, oh my fucking god, that is uncomfy. Like, my god, what the hell? And they gave us a little bit of levity prior to this with Anasui, Hermes, and Jolene, but it's like, Jesus, I was not prepared for that. And that levity was fucking hilarious. Hermes yells at Jolene to wake up while they're driving to Cape Canaveral, and she's like, look at all these alligators. I thought we were away from these sons of bitches when we left the prison. And they both just start yelling at and taunting the alligators. When Jolene was asleep, Anasui had put a ring on her finger because he's fucking Anasui. And she ends up throwing it at one of the alligators. It's like, oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. Like, this is genuinely, I think, one of the funniest things that has happened in this part. And there's a lot of funny shit that's been in part 6, but seeing Jolene and Hermes just mutually, like, shit on some alligators is just really fucking funny. And I don't know if the fact that I ship them, like, and everything has something to do with that. Like, thinking about, like, two girlfriends just shitting on some alligators together. That was weirdly worded. Oh my god, I realized that instantly as I said it. Oh, that is... I apologize for the wording, but you know what I mean. Two girlfriends, taunting some alligators together. It's just really funny to me. I don't know why. I apologize for that image that just went through my head from accidentally wording it that way. Ugh. I apologize for the phrasing. My initial phrasing. But yeah, it's like that was a really genuinely funny scene, and seeing like how like excited they both were to taunt them too, like the faces they were making. It's like they were into it. um, which is just really funny to me. It's just genuinely super fucking funny to me. So it's like, yeah, a little bit of lighthearted, fun humor to preempt terror. um, Also, when Emporio's like, "Can you check the map for me?" Unloads a giant ass computer and keyboard into Ermi's hands. It's like, the fuck, dude. You could have at least warned her. It's like she knows you could do that shit, but you could have at least warned her. Jesus. I'm glad there was some humor in this because after Weather's death and everything, it's like we needed some kind of lightheartedness to bring us out of that, and especially to bridge the gap into the next terror that was about to start. Like, we barely got any time before that, but having some humor in there, very good idea. Very good idea from Araki. But yeah, so all that we have left is two more two-parters and then the final episode. So 5 more episodes in total. Um, and what the way I'm thinking is that we're probably going to do it this way. We're going to do the first two-parter, and then we're going to do the final 3 episodes together. Even though it's a two-parter and then the final episode, we're going to just do all of those together. That's what I'm thinking, though that might change, but that's my plan for now. We'll see how that goes, but yeah. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.